Hello, welcome to Excel VBA Dude. This is Danny Blazer. What we're going to look at today for session 4 is autofilters. Basically, it's going to filter as you type, going to hide the rows, and just be able to search a whole table of data. It could be really advantageous with like a Q&A, things of that effect. So, well, let's go ahead and jump right in. Hello, and welcome to Excel VBA Dude. This is session 4. We're going to do an autofilter. So it's going to filter rows out as we type, just as if we were applying a regular filter. It's going to do the same thing, but it's going to auto filter as we type, so we don't have to manually do it. So for our user, it's super convenient for them. So let's go ahead and get into it. So I copied and pasted a table from the internet. This is just some cosmology Q&As. To filter, I don't want to type in a cell to filter. I don't want to have to do that. I'm going to use an ActiveX object from the developer tab, insert, and we're going to use a text box. It's default right there for everybody, and I'm going to draw it, say yay big. Also note, if you hold in the Alt key first and then drag and drop, your object sizes with the cells. So if you had to get it, if you want to get it nice and symmetrical, you could do that. I'm not going to do that for this point here because it won't work anyway. Let's put it about right here. Now I'm going to go properties while it's selected, and I'm just going to give it some color. So let's take the back color, let's make it a nice orange. There we go. Let's get the font an extra size. Let's say 14. And it had to bring up the other. So let me turn design mode off, click back in, type. Beautiful. Okay. So now we need to give some code to it. So to start the event that we need to use here, luckily it's default for us for the first one, but I'm going to turn on design mode and then double click. That creates the event right there. There's several other events here because I have my text box here, and then all the events I could use. But luckily, the default one change, which all ActiveX objects, when you double click, it's all changed to begin with. So luckily, that's what we need. So change means everything. So every character we type, every character we delete, that's what the change is. So let me go ahead and give some space here. So the best thing to start first is we're going to get a worksheet variable just so we could reference it easier. So let's go ahead and dim ws as worksheet, and then I'll just go ahead and set it while I'm here. Sheets, the first one, because my template only starts as one sheet, so it's easy enough for that. So what we want to specify first is we want to be able to filter. We're going to put an if clause in this, an if statement, excuse me, to see if it's blank, what to do with it, and then if it's not blank, what to do. And I'll show you what I mean why that's beneficial here. So I want to know if there's characters in the text box to filter by. So if not, the text box dot value nothing. If not equals nothing. It's just this. I could write it the other way. If the text box equals or greater than or equal to nothing, but this is the way I choose to do this one. Oop. Got ahead of myself. So I'm going to go down here, throw endif to finish that. We're going to be applying multiple properties here. So what do you do when you apply multiple properties to one item? It's easier to use a with statement. So the property we're going to use for this one here, when we use our with statement, we're going to use our worksheet we set for SWS. We're going to use the used range. That is what it means. Any table, whether it starts at A1 or D5, if the cell contents have something in it, it's considered the used range. And for this purpose, for this demonstration, the used range is all and only the data we need. So let me get a few lines in there. Let me get end with to close my block. Alright, here's where we go. So the method we're going to use here is Autofilter. There's some various properties here, and I'll hit space and show you there. So the field is the field of the used range you choose to use. It's by column sequence, so we only have 2 columns, so we have 2 fields. So in that order, we're going to use field 1, so we're just going to use a 1, but we don't have to specify the actual column in this case, which is E, which would be 5 in order of the worksheet, but used range starts it here, so this is 1 for used range. Let me go back in there for you. So first of all, the first one we're not going to put anything in, and I'll tell you why here. Whenever there's a change in the box, it'll trigger this event from top to bottom, and we have to start the filter over again. So by applying the autofilter with no parameters, clears out the filter, because when you filter an item in each character you type, it filters more and more. It doesn't unfilter it. So any new items that meet your new criteria, your new string criteria, may not meet the old one as you type and get more and more specific. So it'll just hide the ones that it may meet. So this is going to and refilter every letter you type or delete, and that's what we need to get an accurate result. So with that, I'm going to just go down the line, and then I'm going to build the real filter here. So we want to do 1, and our criteria here. So this is where it gets interesting. So do you think I could just do the text box value? And let's try that. And this is the, as you can see here, these are ways it could filter the filter type for us. I'm going to go with OR for this one here. We're not going to have any criteria 2. So the visible drop down, this is the little filter you get when you add a filter to the Home tab. When you go here, select the 2, Home, Filter, Filter. This is what will show up when this function runs the very first letter we put in, but it won't go away. So let me go ahead and take that out, back to VBA editor. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make that false, and that's it for that line. Now you noticed here I just used a comma to separate it. It is a practice that people do to specify, so you don't need to. So I could do that. You see, when I put the equal sign, it made this there, even though it's definitely not the next one in sequence of parameters. So I could do that if I wanted to, but it works either way. So I'm just going to do, it's true or false. It's a Boolean parameter. So I'm going to go down. Oh, I already put it in, and I'm all ahead of myself. There we go. So what we also want to do is make sure the filter doesn't, so the whole used range is filtered, 2 columns. We told it to not put a filter in the first one, but we want to disable the filter from the second one too, so no one can see it. So autofilter here, we're going to specify the field, but I'm not going to specify any value or the operator. So I'm just comma everything to false. So this almost looks correct here, and I'll show you why here. So what we want to do is go ahead and try to type in, let's see, let's try the word star. That makes sense here. Oh, it didn't do anything. Oh, and it didn't unfilter when I type in. We're going to learn why here. So it's going to filter for the exact contents of the text box value. So no field contains, no cell contains just the letter S. So if it doesn't contain just and only that, it won't work. And when I undo it, when it's blank, it won't bring them back. So these are the 2 things we have to do. Let's go back to the editor. So to accomplish this, we're going to throw some wildcards in, like that. So a wildcard can mean blank or any amount of text to the side of the string. That's what that means. So I could put what, and the text in the cell starts with what. There's nothing to the left of it, but that doesn't mean anything to the asterisk. The asterisk can mean anything or nothing. The expectation is for there to be text there, but if you're not sure there's going to be text there, and you want to choose a word that doesn't typically start a sentence, you put it there. And we need to put it there in this case, because no sentence just starts with S and has nothing at the end of it. So we're going to do ampersand and another asterisk on the end of it. Now, if I try to filter again, it's going to filter anything with star. Even stars is there because I add the asterisk here. So star is right there by itself and here, but not there. So what I'm going to do here is take this away, the asterisk at the end, and see what we get. I'm going to delete it again. I'm going to go back to star. So if the sentence doesn't end on a star, then it won't work. So I have to add that back in. Oop. And now the star will appear once I delete or add another character. There we go. So there's our star right there. So as you can see, when I delete it, the filter still applies even though nothing's there. So that's why my cell row numbers have changed color. When a filter is applied, it's indicated by a color over here. So what I'm going to do is explicitly tell it. So if it's not blank, perform these actions. If the text box is blank, I'm going to throw in an else. There's a method called show all data, and this does exactly what it says. So now when I type in, so let me type in %. I see that in one of them. That's filtered. Row 10 is filtered. Let me go back there. Everything's unfiltered, and I don't get the indication that it might be filtered, even though it wasn't. It was still there, and there's no filter here. So what if I comment this out? If I comment the 2 out. Oh, by the way, I changed my colors. We got another video on that, but this is my comment now. I can clearly see my comments. It's not that default light green text with the same white foreground as the editor itself. So very, very handy for me. I enjoy it very much. So I'm going to go back here, and when I've typed the first thing in, there's the filter. We don't want the user to have that. The convenience for them is using the box. So I'm going to uncomment that. I could either delete the apostrophe, the single quote, or hit the back button up here, the uncomment block. And this up here is achieved by our toolbars. I have the edit toolbar. When you click it, it becomes free floating. You could actually relocate it wherever you want, and I just flush it against that for ease. So here is all of our data, and all we have to do is test it out. Star. There is one extra thing I wanted to let you know. When you copy and paste in from a normal apostrophe, you would see online somewhere, that's actually not a character. We could use on the keyboard here. I want to show you. I left one in there. So this right here, is it this one? Yeah. So you see these right here. This one's different from this one. So if I type in an apostrophe, only one of them comes up. That one. That's because I changed the one. That's the apostrophe right next to the enter key. But the other one, that's one copy and paste. This one is not the correct one. So what we could do here is to test it out. I'm going to go back to the editor. I'm going to make another sub at the bottom. This is just a one-time thing. Sub replace bad characters. Okay. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to, let me move that down to give us some space. There we go. I'm going to dim cell as range. And then, let's see. There we go. So for each cell, I'm going to do a for each loop. In selection, I'm going to do that right there. Let me close off my loop. There we go. What I want to do here, I just want to, let me do an if statement here. Let's see here. If cell dot value like, let's see. There we go. I'm going to throw some wildcards with the good one, the good apostrophe there in the middle, like this. Then I'm going to throw out a message box with the address, so it tells me the good one. So I'm going to just squeeze this over here so we could see. I'm going to loop through with the F8 key. First one, no. Second one, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh. Oh, the seventh one did it. So cell E14 has the one we want in it. It did not detect this one as a normal one, and hence that's why it didn't show up in the text box. It didn't show up in our table when we filtered by it. So it's cell E14. So I'm going to make a new selection here. There's that. Let's say I didn't know how to identify this. I'm going to do Control G or View and where'd it go? Immediate window. I'm going to debug print this here. So let me go ahead and get this out of here. I'm actually going to make a whole, I'm going to stop this function here, the sub. Actually, I don't think I need all this there. I'm going to do another one. Dim x as integer for x equals 1 to, let's see here, when dot active cell. Next. So the active cell E10 and len is the account of all of the entire string. So what I want to do is test out see what the character is. So I could do that by the ASC function. It converts the string into the ASCII character ASCII, so I can learn what to look for to replace it. So let's go see that. String will be, we're going to use the mid function. The mid function does not return an integer, it returns a variant, so it returns the actual string. So the mid function, the string itself, will be active cell.value. The start here will be the very first one. So we're going to the whole length of the string. The start will be x and the length will only be 1. So let's go ahead and close that off. Let me debug print that while we're at it. There we go. This will give me the ASCII conversion of every character in this active cell. So I'm going to hit F5 to run through that. Well, I won't know what's what, will I? So let me debug print the actual value here and not the ASCII version of it. I could do that here. I could throw in VB tab and then there. Let me bring that down to the next line so we could see. Alright, let me hit F5. Alright, this is every letter of the sentence and every ASCII key version of it. So systems right here. As it turns out, the unrecognizable, the dummy quote, is ASCII key 146. So now that we figured that out, I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to take this out. I'm going to take all this out again. Dim cell as range. I'm just redoing it just to show the flow of it here. So well, now that I identified the cell, let's just do this. Set cell equals active cell. This is kind of almost pointless. I could just write a one-liner for it. So we're going to use cell dot value equals an output. So parentheses, replace the expression as string. So replace the actual cell value. So replace the cell dot value. We're going to find, what are we going to find again? Yeah, the character code as long, which we identified as 146. Close that. We're going to replace it with the one on the keyboard next to the enter key, the actual one there. So then I'm just going to close that up, and this is my active cell right here. Let's go ahead and skip through that. Let's watch this change a little bit as it goes. Ready? Here we go. So very hard to see, super small, but it changed. So now that I've done all that, I'm going to hit the apostrophe again here, and I have two of them. So that there was just a one-time thing, and here is our filtered list. So what is the, nope, I could delete as I go. If I hit space, it's there. See, if I hit one space, it's they're still there, because every word has a space between at least one. If I hit space again, that proves that no one mistyped this one from me copying and pasting it. That means there's not an extra space between words. So Milky Way, as you can see, it's not case sensitive for the filter here. So and I told it to only look in questions, so anything we type in here won't correspond to the same area. So, but we could adjust that in the autofilter if we want. So this is our autofilter. If you have any questions here, go ahead and let me know in the comments below. We'll keep the videos coming. So it was nice chatting with you, and until next time, cheers.